This episode absolutely hit me like a ton of bricks, man. Like the death of Bellemere might be the most tragic death so far, the most tragic thing in the series so far that I've seen. It is absolutely gut wrenching. Like, bro, I got such a lump in my throat just watching this episode, especially when she was eventually shot in front of Nami and Nojiko. I couldn't believe it. There's one thing that One Piece knows how to do well, that's tell a fucking good story, get you hooked, invested, and then rip your heart out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it does it so well. Building up these characters, and like you fall like in love with them and you're invested in them, and then something like this to happen is horrendous, bro. Like, it's awful. So the episode starts off with Arlong and his pirates approaching Bellemere's house, and she actually recognized the threat immediately, obviously being a Marine, and she manages to like sneak attack Arlong and actually take him down and put a gun to his face. And they all just start laughing because that's obviously nothing to Arlong. He actually chomps the end of the shotgun off, just like he did with that cannonball in the other episode. And he begins like stomping on Bellemere, torturing her essentially. And you can see Nami and Nojiko can hear the screams of her. And Bellemere believes this is the end for her, you know. And the last thing she thinks of is, of course, Nami and Nojiko. She loves these girls more than anything in the world. They're literally like her life, essentially. But as Nami and Nojiko are approaching to try and stop, you know, Arlong and his pirates, they're stopped by the doctor in the town, you know, that helped save them when they were kids. And they basically say that there's nothing saying that Bellemere is their actual mum, so they can escape without Arlong even knowing. And, you know, that breaks Nami's heart. She's only a kid, you got to remember. She's only, I think, 10 in this episode. And she's saying it's not fair. She wants to be Bellemere's kid. She wants to stay in the village, all that sort of stuff. And she sort of refuses to leave. As this is all happening, Gen arrives and explains to Bellemere the situation about the having to pay him 100,000 berries per adult, 50,000 per child if she wants to live. And essentially, she has 100,000 saved up. But unfortunately, the pirates find that she's cooking a meal for three. Gen sort of blags it and says it's for him and a guest. You know, she's having guests over, there's no kids or anything like that. And they do believe it. But as they're leaving, Bellemere can't accept the fact that she has to say she doesn't have a family. So the 100,000 that she gives them, she explains it's not for her, it's for her two kids. She would rather die than say she doesn't have a family. That's how much she cares and loves these kids. And bro, it's so heartbreaking. It's so heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time, you know. Nami and Nojiko hear all of this, and they come screaming and approaching Bellemere. And this is where it gets absolutely tragic. As Bellemere's giving her last hug to these children, well, her children, you know, that she loves more than anything in the world, she's apologizing for not being, you know, the perfect mum in terms of like getting them more clothes and more gifts or whatever. She says she's sorry, she wanted to do that, but she just couldn't. And then she also says to Nami to live her dream, and it's genuinely so heartbreaking knowing what's about to happen as well. But the way it happens was even more insanely upsetting than I could have imagined. This scene made me hate Arlong more than any other by far, because it feels so personal. Do you know what I mean? And this guy is so heartless. He points the gun at Bellemere in front of her two kids, and Bellemere just turns to Nojiko and Nami and just says, "I love you." And then the next thing you know, she gets shot. Just point blank dead right in front of them. And it is, bro, it literally, my heart dropped. I knew what was coming, and still it hit me. Like I said, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And after this, it goes for a bit of a montage of how Bellemere has raised Nami and Nojiko to be like strong women and to fight for themselves and stuff. And she was obviously an incredible woman. And Nami and Nojiko, obviously, you can see now, take their personalities, a lot of it, from what they were taught by Bellemere. You know, they wouldn't be who they were without her. And her death was so like gut-wrenching and tragic. Even though Bellemere asked basically as a last request for Arlong not to touch Nami and Nojiko, after discovering the chart that Nami made of Kokoyashi village, they take her anyway, because obviously they want to use her. And fair play to Gen, you know, he tries to stop them, but he ends up getting completely cut up. That's why he has so many scars on him now, because I like Gen a lot. He really does. This whole time he's been there to try and protect Nami and Nojiko. You can tell he really cares about these kids as well. And he's always trying to fight for him. Even now, you know, Arlong caught him with a weapon, and I assume it was probably to try and save Nami again, or do something, or just defeat Arlong. But yeah, this dude, obviously he doesn't stand a chance against them at the moment. But yeah, even after what Arlong promised or said to Bellemere, he still took Nami. So this guy is an irredeemable piece of shit. After this, the whole village are planning on basically making an uprising and getting Nami back. But shit, because the whole village, as much as Nami didn't believe it, the village loved this family, so they're willing to fight for her. They even like attacked Arlong while he was attacking Bellemere. So obviously they care a lot about these kids and her. But after this all goes down, Nami is seen approaching back to the village after getting captured by Arlong with a handful of cash and bruises and an Arlong tattoo, and essentially declares that she's joined the pirates because they're giving her money and everything she could ever want. What is really happening, we know, that's not the case at all. She's not just joined it for the money. She's joined it to try and get the 100 million berries to buy Kokoyashi village back. But she's not willing to tell anybody except Nojiko, because she doesn't want anyone else to get involved and get hurt or die or anything like that. And she's forced to go through these 8 years of torment that she's endured, going out exploring, stealing from pirates, getting beaten up, getting cuts, bruises. We see it like the whole time. She's just getting, she's got a really tough life, and she can't have any friends because she's worried they'll get involved. So that it makes sense why she's so like standoffish right now with Luffy and Sanji and everybody else, and Zoro, because she doesn't want the same thing to happen to them. She doesn't want them to die. These friends she's made, she's trying to distance herself from everybody because all this work she's put in could essentially go like that, just over, her being suspected by Arlong and his pirates. She's literally kicked out of her village over this when she's 10 years old because they believe she's joined the pirates that killed her mum. But yeah, as we know, that's not the case at all. And if anything, over the course of these last few episodes, the amount of respect I've gained for Nami and like empathy I've gained for her is like insane. Like she's amazing. She really is. But at the end of this episode, we could see all of this work she's done could be undone because Gen leads the Marines straight to Nami, obviously with no bad intentions. The Marines are supposed to be the good guys. And as soon as they get there, they say, "We've had a word about you stealing a bunch of treasure here. We're here to confiscate it all the 93 million berries that she's managed to make are getting confiscated by the government." And that is the fucking worst thing in the world. All of this work she's done, this whole 8 years worth of getting this money to buy this village back for her and her sister and Bellemere and the whole village, and all the work she's put in could be taken away like that. And it looks like that's what's about to happen. How did they discover this? Part of me thinks it's probably Arlong. You know what I mean? I feel like he's involved with all of this. It's the same Marine that he was doing that deal with at the beginning of the Arlong Park arc. So this is terrible. And if this money does get taken away, if this treasure does get taken away from Nami, I don't know how she's going to react. I don't know what's going to happen, but all I know is it's going to be heartbreaking. It's going to be awful. But yeah, this episode was an absolute kick in the teeth. Absolutely gut-wrenching. I'm starting to realize Oda is an absolute master at what he does in terms of character writing and world building and everything that he does. He's just amazing how good he is at writing these stories. And I love him and hate him for it because this was so sad to watch. But the story itself is incredible. And I'm so invested. And I really hope Nami doesn't get all this treasure taken away, because that will be awful. But yeah, that was the episode. Gosh, on to the next one.